Long before the palace gates swing open to the public, before the first tour group gathers in the courtyard, before cameras click and children point in wonder, another day has already begun. In the pre-dawn darkness, while the city still sleeps, royal guards arrive to assume positions that demand something most of us will never fully understand: the willingness to become invisible in plain sight. This is not the story of ceremony you see from behind the velvet ropes. This is the story of what happens in the hours before you arrive, the discipline forged in silence, and the sacrifices made without applause. The alarm sounds at 4 in the morning. There is no snooze button in this profession. A royal guard's day begins in the kind of darkness that makes ordinary people pull their blankets tighter. Within minutes, they are dressed and moving through empty streets toward positions they will hold with unwavering steadiness for hours on end. The uniform they wear is not simply clothing. It is history made fabric, tradition made visible, and responsibility made tangible. Before they ever step into public view, the guards gather in preparation rooms that smell of brass polish and wool. Here, in spaces the public never sees, the real work begins. Each element of the uniform undergoes inspection with a level of scrutiny that would seem excessive in any other context. A single thread out of place is unacceptable. A smudge on a button is a failure. The boots must reflect light like mirrors. The creases in the trousers must be sharp enough to cut paper. This is not vanity. This is the physical manifestation of an internal standard, a visual promise that nothing will be overlooked, nothing will be compromised. Senior officers move through the ranks with eyes trained by decades of service. They pause at each guard, examining every detail from multiple angles. The inspection is conducted in near silence, with only the occasional quiet instruction to adjust a collar or straighten a badge. These officers know that when a guard stands before the palace, they represent something larger than themselves. Every wrinkle smoothed, every buckle polished to perfection, every hair properly set beneath the bearskin cap serves a purpose. It tells the watching world that standards still matter, that discipline still exists, that some things remain sacred. The bearskin caps themselves require careful handling. Weighing several pounds and standing nearly 2 feet tall, these iconic headpieces are not merely costume accessories. They are crafted from genuine fur, maintained according to traditions stretching back centuries. Before wearing them, guards inspect the interior lining, adjust the chin straps to precise specifications, and ensure the plume sits at exactly the right angle. Placing the cap on one's head is a deliberate act, performed with the same care one might use when handling a religious artifact. Once in position, the cap becomes part of the guard's silhouette, transforming an individual into an icon. The weapons inspection follows with equal rigor. Whether carrying a rifle with a fixed bayonet or standing with a sword, each guard must demonstrate complete familiarity with their arms. The metal must shine without blemish. The mechanisms must function flawlessly. During this inspection, guards demonstrate their ability to perform drill movements with precision, moving through sequences they have rehearsed thousands of times until muscle memory has replaced conscious thought. The sound of boots striking stone in unison echoes through the preparation halls, a rhythm that has marked the beginning of guard duty for generations. Physical preparation extends beyond appearance and equipment. Guards engage in exercises designed to ready their bodies for the demands ahead. Standing completely still for extended periods requires a different kind of strength than most people ever develop. The legs must be strong enough to support the body's weight without shifting. The core must be engaged to maintain perfect posture. The neck and shoulders must hold the head level despite the weight of the cap. Some guards practice breathing techniques that will help them endure the hours ahead, learning to take shallow, invisible breaths that do not disturb their stance. Mental preparation matters equally. Before assuming their posts, guards enter a state of focused concentration that borders on meditation. They steel themselves against the distractions that will come: the tourists who will try to make them laugh, the children who will wave enthusiastically, the visitors who will stand uncomfortably close for photographs. They prepare for the physical discomfort that is inevitable, the ache that will develop in their lower backs, the burning sensation that will build in their calves, the sweat that will trickle beneath their heavy wool uniforms on warm days. Most importantly, they prepare to embody absolute restraint, to become living statues who respond to nothing. As dawn breaks, the guards move to their assigned positions. The changing of the guard is still hours away, but they are already in place, already watchful. These early morning hours, when the palace grounds remain closed to visitors, are not rest periods. They are when the guards perform duties the public never witnesses. Security checks are conducted with methodical thoroughness. Every door is tested. Every window is examined. Perimeter sweeps ensure no unauthorized persons have breached the grounds overnight. Communication systems are verified. Protocols are reviewed. The guards work with other security personnel, coordinating approaches and confirming procedures, ensuring that when the gates do open, every possible risk has been anticipated and prepared for. During these quiet hours, the hierarchy within the guards becomes most visible. Junior guards learn by watching their seniors, absorbing lessons that cannot be taught in any classroom. They observe how a 20-year veteran distributes weight between his feet to avoid fatigue. They notice how an experienced guard's eyes move in a pattern that covers every approach angle without appearing to look anywhere in particular. They see how stillness itself becomes a form of communication, projecting authority without aggression, presence without confrontation. The training never truly ends. Even guards with years of service continue drilling in the early morning hours, refining movements until perfection becomes habit. They practice the precise angle at which the rifle must be held. They rehearse the exact rhythm of the ceremonial march. They review emergency procedures, going over scenarios that range from medical emergencies among visitors to security threats that require immediate response. This constant preparation ensures that when the unexpected occurs, and it will, the response is automatic and appropriate. The long hours of standing test more than physical endurance. They test mental fortitude in ways that are difficult for outsiders to comprehend. To stand perfectly still while your body screams for movement requires a kind of willpower that must be cultivated through practice and reinforced through discipline. The mind must be trained to acknowledge discomfort without yielding to it, to notice distraction without engaging with it, to remain present and alert while simultaneously transcending the immediate sensations of the body. Some guards develop personal techniques for maintaining focus during their watch. Some mentally review texts they have memorized. Others solve complex problems in their heads. Many simply cultivate a state of calm awareness, present in the moment, yet detached from it. What they all share is the ability to endure, to persist, to stand when standing becomes the hardest thing they have ever done. The night watches present their own unique challenges. When darkness settles over the palace and the last visitors have departed, a different shift of guards assumes their positions. The ceremonial aspects fade into the background. What remains is pure security work, conducted in shadows and silence. These guards patrol grounds that echo with history, moving through spaces where monarchs have walked for centuries. They remain vigilant through the coldest hours before dawn, when fatigue presses heaviest and alertness requires constant renewal. Physical sacrifice is an accepted reality. Guards endure weather extremes without complaint. On scorching summer days, they stand in wool uniforms that trap heat like ovens, sweat pooling beneath layers they cannot adjust. During bitter winter months, they maintain their posts as cold seeps through their clothing and into their bones, forbidden from stamping their feet or hugging themselves for warmth. Rain soaks through their caps and runs down their faces. Wind buffets them relentlessly. They do not flinch, do not seek shelter, do not show any sign that nature's fury affects them. The rules governing their conduct are absolute and unyielding. A guard does not speak while on post unless addressing a genuine security concern. A guard does not smile, does not react, does not acknowledge attempts at interaction. A guard does not scratch an itch, adjust uncomfortable clothing, or shift weight from one foe to another more than the prescribed number of times per hour. Breaking these rules carries consequences, but more importantly, it represents a failure of personal discipline, a crack in the armor of professionalism that each guard has worked so hard to forge. Medical challenges arise and must be overcome silently. Guards have stood their posts through splitting headaches, through stomach illnesses, through injuries that would send most people home to bed. They have learned to lock their knees without fainting, to ignore the needles and pins sensation of restricted circulation, to breathe through nausea without showing distress. When a guard does collapse, which happens rarely but inevitably, the others do not break formation. They trust that support personnel will respond while they maintain the integrity of their posts. The mission continues regardless of individual difficulty. The unseen sacrifices extend beyond the physical. Guards miss birthdays, holidays, family gatherings, and important personal events because duty calls them to stand at their posts. They accept that their personal lives will be secondary to the requirements of their service. They understand that the uniform they wear connects them to generations of guardsmen who made the same sacrifices, who stood in the same places, who upheld the same standards. This historical continuity provides meaning that transcends individual hardship. Training drills during off-duty hours maintain the precision for which Royal Guards are famous. They practice until movements become second nature, until the entire unit moves as one organism rather than a collection of individuals. The synchronization required for ceremonial duties demands countless repetitions. A fraction of a second too early or too late disrupts the entire sequence. Heights must match perfectly. Steps must cover identical distances. Arms must swing at precisely the same angle. This level of coordination emerges only through relentless practice and unwavering commitment to collective excellence. Young recruits quickly learn that becoming a Royal Guard requires transforming yourself in fundamental ways. You must learn to view discomfort as simply information, not something requiring response. You must develop the ability to be completely present while simultaneously invisible. You must cultivate patience that extends beyond normal human limits. You must accept that your individual desires, your personal comfort, your momentary impulses all matter less than the duty you have accepted. The mental endurance required becomes clearest during the longest watches. When hours blur together, when time seems to stop moving, when every fiber of your being wants to sit down, look away, take a break. That is when the true test occurs. The guards who endure are those who have learned to find strength in purpose rather than comfort, meaning in service rather than ease, pride in restraint rather than expression. As morning light strengthens and the palace prepares to welcome visitors, the guards who have been standing through the dark hours remain at their posts. New shifts arrive, fresh and rested, but the handover is seamless. The public arriving for the day's first tour sees only the guards in position, unaware that some have been standing there since before dawn. They see the polished boots and perfect uniforms, unaware of the pre-dawn inspections that ensured every detail met exacting standards. They see statues in elaborate costume, unaware of the human beings inside who have mastered the art of invisible endurance. The work continues throughout the day, in cycles of standing and marching, vigilance and ceremony. Behind every public moment lies hours of unseen preparation. Behind every perfectly executed drill lies countless repetitions in empty courtyards. Behind every guard who stands without wavering lies a personal history of choosing discipline over comfort, duty over desire, service over self. This is what Royal Guards do before the palace opens. They prepare themselves to become something more than individuals. They ready themselves to embody an ideal. They steel themselves to stand as living symbols of values that many consider outdated or unnecessary. They do this knowing that most people will never appreciate the difficulty involved, never understand the sacrifice required, never look beyond the surface to see the human commitment beneath the ceremonial facade. In the end, what can be learned from these silent sentinels who stand in the shadows before dawn and remain at their posts long after most people have gone home? They teach us that true strength often looks like stillness, that real power sometimes manifests as restraint, that the most important work often happens unseen and unacknowledged. They demonstrate that discipline is not restriction, but liberation, freedom from the tyranny of momentary impulses, freedom to serve purposes larger than personal comfort. The Royal Guards remind us